This is a luxury tier digital audio player, DAP, and it has a very specific consumer in mind. The type of consumer that not only has the budget, but the willingness to shell out for a product that will elevate their listening experience. This is a smartly finished, well-designed, weighty, sharp-edged, and expensive little player. It retails for $2,999 US. There's no getting around it. This little thing is gorgeous. It can very much be considered a object of desire, especially if you're an audiophile, because like everyone that I've had pick it up, interact with it, and use it has instantly fallen in love with it. And while it's out of the budget for a lot of people, those that can afford it, again, will most likely love it. On the exterior, you're greeted to a silver-plated body and a hairline finish. A glass panel adorns the front and rear panels, the bottom 3/4 of the back panel being matte black, and the top portion features those twin glowing red vacuum tubes. The right edge of the player features a volume wheel, which has an LED with light that flows out. It's illuminated in different colors depending on the bit depth of the music that's playing. Red is 16-bit, green 24-bit, blue 32-bit, and purple is DSD. The left side features 4 unlabeled buttons near the top for controlling the player. The top edge features a power button, headphone input, and 2 balanced outputs. The unbalanced out is 3.5mm, the optical out 3.5mm, balanced out 2.5mm, only 4-pole supported. There are so many specs for this device that me going over them here would not only be painful for me to do, but also like boring for you to watch. So I encourage you, I'm going to leave a link below in the description that you can follow to go over all the specs if you want to nerd out on them. Suffice to say, there are 2 mini vacuum tubes on them. Here is the full name and acronym on screen. There are also these specs. 3 levels of voltage from a tube current option. There are separate digital and analog signal processing with these 2 acronyms, and a high-performance Qualcomm Snapdragon CPU. This thing supports 32-bit 768 playback, USB Type-C for charging. It weighs 483 grams. Frequency response says 20 to 20. Playback time is 10 hours, and it takes about 3.5 hours to fully charge, so at the end of the day, just plug it in, go to sleep, wake up, you can use it again. Easy peasy. The interface is pretty great too. Admittedly, sample size of 1, I'm an iPhone user. I've only ever used an iPhone, I've never used Android, and anytime I have to interact with an audio interface, I always just hit buttons or go to the wrong page all the time, but that's just me, sample size of 1. I also notice on the player there is a little bit of lag, but like listening to music is inherently a slow thing. Like I'm not texting or I'm not scrolling Twitter or Instagram or anything like that. I don't need anything fast paced, but I do notice the lag, so it's worth mentioning here. But again, I'm gonna select an album, press the album, and then hit play. Wait a tiny bit, and then the music plays, and then I'm just going to listen to music for a while and maybe look for my next song. That's the extent of the scrolling. So like the lag doesn't really play a big factor in the enjoyment of a product that is imploring you to slow down. The SP3000T also came shipped with a yellow shrunken calfskin case. It's presumably to protect it from drops, dings, and scratches, which I kept a player in when not using it, but Yellow's an interesting color choice. On the product page for this, everything is either black or red. And so I just figure a carrying case would be black or red, but yellow, and it's a bright yellow. Like when I got it out of the box, I was like, oh, is this just an extra thing they're shipping with this? But no, it comes with every device. That would maybe be my only nitpick of like, it feels kind of out of place. This product is made for the avid headphone listener, not just the one that wants the best sound possible, but also the ones that like to tweak their settings for optimum performance. And you can tweak to your heart's content on this thing. Not only do you have the hybrid tube options, but you also have a 10-band graphic equalizer, and then you have an advanced EQ where you can adjust the curve to your liking. There are a bunch of DAC filters available on this thing as well, and you can choose the ones that you want to give you the best possible sound. I left mine on short delay, slow roll off because I couldn't really tell the difference between them. But if you can and you have better hearing than me, then have at it. Choose the ones that you want. There is also a, there's a view mode on here. Here you go. There's also VU meters, and you can choose to have these on like this, or you can also toggle them on to full screen, like so. It's probably going to take forever to focus, but there you go. There's full screen VU meters, and you can listen to your music that way. That's pretty cool. Really, this thing has pretty much every modern convenience that you would want in a personal audio player. And it has all the extra fun things that make it just enjoyable to use. So if you don't want to look at your album artwork, just look at the VU meters. And they're pretty easy to toggle on just with the icon at the bottom. And you're done. Here, let's see if we can do them in action. Here you go. There's no headphones plugged in. Oh, there you go. The VU meter does not operate with DSD audio. So let's find something else. All right, so there you go. I'm playing Nirvana. I don't, whatever that song is that's really popular, but there you go. VU meters active, they're working. It looks awesome. It looks fun. So you connect via Wi-Fi to your network of choice, and then you have access to all the streaming applications that you want to. There's Amazon Music, Apple Music, Qobuz, Spotify, Tidal. I'm a Spotify guy. I know, grown, but it's what I've always used. It's what my kids are used to. I'm using Spotify. But then curiously, this device came with a whole bunch of music preloaded already. And like trigger alert here, but like there's a lot of music on here that like I don't ever listen to. Like Prince, the Beatles, there's like Credence's on here. And I only know that one song from Die Hard. But like it wouldn't be good for me to talk about music that I barely know on here, besides Michael Jackson. But it's all high res. So like I found that when I toggled modes like hybrid, amp on or off in the steps of hybrid, I did notice an appreciable difference on like the high res music, and particularly with like rock, jazz, funk and soul, live recordings. That's where I heard most of the difference. But with my day-to-day music off Spotify, drum and bass, dubstep, hip hop, like I didn't hear too much of a difference, and I think that's because of how the music is inherently made. The two headphones that I paired with this device were not on par at the same price point whatsoever. There was a Cambridge Audio Melomania P100s and the Sennheiser HD650. Of the two headphones, the HD650 just worked better. It's an open back headphone. It sounded bigger and fuller overall, but the P100 was a very close second. It's also a case of one being a wireless headphone and one not being, but the HD650 was what I went with most of the time. Also because I was scared to leave the house with this device, so most of my listening was me plopped on my couch listening to these headphones. And truth be told, that's not an activity that I normally do. Most of the time when I'm using headphones, it's out and about, or when I'm sitting at my desk mixing a song down, or just listening to a podcast while I'm working. But like, honestly, like, I could get used to this. Like, seated on my couch, listening to headphones with this device, listening to Gary's theme from Bill Evans' Trio. It's like a really beautiful little jazz ditty. And it reminds me of just kind of walking around Soho and eating pancakes at the Mercer. But like via these headphones, like it was just a beautiful all-enveloping sound. And like it was the best that I've ever heard that recording, especially with the tube amp set to hybrid at like step number 4, EQ completely turned off. It sounded better on that than any stereo speaker option that I've had. And I think it's because, yeah, the headphones are on my ears and like I don't have to turn it up as loud. It's just a beautiful all-enveloping sound and I really enjoyed it. And the ditto for the P100s playing Gwen McCrae's 90% of Me Is You. Like, again, all-enveloping sound. There's more isolation on those headphones, so like it does feel like you are just listening to the music like fully. But like my head was bopping the whole time. The bass has a bit of plumpness to it. Just her vocals had so much grit and texture and just, again, it was the best I've ever heard it. And maybe I'm not hearing the signal as pure as possible because I do have the hybrid tube option on, but I honestly don't care. I just loved the way it sounded on this device on those headphones. And then I mentioned this in my Melomania P100 review, but this time I listened to it on the HD650s because I do like those headphones better. But the Lungs remix by Caliber, I think it's by Rutty. Dude, it's my favorite drum and bass track of the moment. Just vocals over a simple beat, good bass line. It just sounds huge on this player. And again, I didn't engage my EQ because I just didn't feel like I needed it. Like, I like the sound coming out of this device just with the tube on. And yeah, I love it to death. Bluetooth exists, it's 5.0, and it works quite well. It supports these formats. And I use Bluetooth with my Melomania P100s, and I thought it sounded okay. I do like the 100s wired up better, but I also just like the HD650s overall better, and that's kind of what I went with. And again, sample size of 1, but this thing, like, the way I'm using this, like, I can't imagine ever using Bluetooth. Like, I'm always going to be wired up because if I'm going to spend this much, I want the best sound quality possible. So I imagine most people would just go wired. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think this is great value for your money. This is very much a luxury audio device. And if this sits in the realm of affordability for you, and you fancy a product like this, then you should go and give this one a listen. I, for one, am happy that it exists. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. Cheers.